Right now, inside your body, there is a clock running. You can't see it, you can't hear it, and most of the time you don't even feel it ticking, but it is always running. And if it ever hits zero, nothing else about you matters anymore. Not your strength, not your intelligence, not how much money is in your bank account. In the year 1979, an 18-year-old Austrian man named Andreas Mihavecz found out exactly how long that clock runs. He was arrested for being a passenger in a car crash, placed in a holding cell, and then forgotten. Not for an hour, not for a day. 3 police officers each assumed someone else would let him out. 18 days passed. When he was finally found, he had lost 24 kilograms, and the only reason he was still breathing was that he had been licking condensation off the cell walls. 18 days is the longest verified survival without water in recorded history, and it only happened because of a freak accident in human carelessness. Without that wall, he would have been dead in under a week. That is the substance we are talking about today. Not love, not oxygen, not money, water. The most ordinary thing in your kitchen, and also the single fastest way to kill or save a human being. Let's start with what you actually are. Strip away the idea of yourself as skin, hair, and a face, and look at the raw material. Between 55 and 60% of an adult human body is water. If you weigh 70 kilograms, roughly 40 of those kilograms are water, sloshing through trillions of cells, arteries, and tissues, doing jobs you never think about until they stop. Your blood is over 90% water, and it is the river system that moves oxygen to every cell and hauls carbon dioxide back out. Your brain is close to 75% water, and it relies on water to generate the electrical signals that let you think, move, and form memories. Even your bones. Yes, your hard, solid bones are about 31% water. There is no organ, no tissue, no cell in your entire body that gets a pass. Every single one needs water to keep functioning, and none of them can store very much of it for long. So what is all that water actually doing in there? 4 jobs running simultaneously, every second of your life. First, temperature control. You are a machine that generates heat just by existing, and water is your cooling system. When you sweat, it evaporates off your skin and pulls heat away with it. The same physics that cools you after a swim on a hot day. Second, transportation. Every nutrient, hormone, and immune cell moves through your bloodstream. And blood plasma is mostly water. It's the highway your entire body runs on. Third, lubrication. Your joints, spinal discs, and even your eyes depend on watery fluid to keep bone from grinding against bone. Fourth, waste removal. Your kidneys are filtration plants that need a constant flow of water to flush toxins out through urine. Now here's the part most people get wrong. Your body has almost no water savings account, unlike fat, which your body can store for months as an energy reserve. There is no real long-term water reserve. Whatever water leaves your body, through sweat, breathing, and urination, has to be replaced on a tight schedule, or the system starts shutting down floor by floor, like a power outage moving through a building. Let's walk through exactly what that shutdown looks like, stage by stage, because this is where it gets genuinely frightening. Lose just 1 to 2% of your body's water, and you won't even notice anything dramatic. You'll just feel thirsty. That's it. Thirst is not an early warning system. It's actually a fairly late one. By the time your brain registers, "I'm thirsty," mild dehydration has already started. Push past that to a 5% loss, and the symptoms escalate fast. Headache, dizziness, fatigue, dry mouth, a noticeable drop in physical performance. And this part matters if you've ever wondered why you can't think straight on a hot day without enough water. Measurable impairment in concentration and short-term memory. Studies on dehydrated workers have found something striking. Even mild fluid loss can cut task performance and reaction time significantly. And one study on forestry workers found dehydration reduced their productivity by around 12%. Your brain which is mostly water, simply does not run well on empty. At around 10% fluid loss, things move from uncomfortable to dangerous. Your blood volume drops, forcing your heart to beat faster, just to push the same amount of oxygen around your body. Your skin loses elasticity. Pinch it, and it stays tented instead of springing back. Beyond that, somewhere around 15% water loss, you are entering territory doctors classify as severe and potentially fatal. Kidney failure begins. Confusion sets in, and the body fails system by system. So how long does that whole collapse actually take? This is where the popular rule of threes comes from. 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. It's a useful rule of thumb, but real-world numbers vary a lot depending on heat, activity, and age. Dr. Claude Piantadosi of Duke University has put the outer limit at around 100 hours for most people under harsh conditions, which is just over 4 days in comfortable, cool conditions with no physical exertion. Some healthy adults have stretched survival closer to a week, which is exactly why Andreas Mihavecz's 18 days stands out as such an extreme outlier. He only made it that far because he found an external water source by accident, licking moisture off concrete walls in a basement cell. Without that, his story ends in days, not weeks. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so don't run out of water. Drink as much as possible, just to be safe. And this is exactly where the story takes its most counterintuitive turn, because water can also kill you in the opposite direction. In January 2007, a radio station in Sacramento ran a contest called Hold Your Wee for a Wee. Drink as much water as possible without urinating, and win a video game console. The 28-year-old mother of 3, Jennifer Strange, entered. Over about 3 hours, she drank nearly 2 gallons, roughly 7.5 liters, of water. She started complaining her head hurt. The DJs laughed it off. One joked, "Can you get water poisoning and die?" Another answered, "Not with water." She came in second, won concert tickets instead of the console, went home, and died in her bathroom that same day. The cause was acute water intoxication, called hyponatremia. Sodium keeps the right balance of water inside versus outside your cells. Drink an enormous volume of water too fast, and you dilute your blood's sodium faster than your kidneys can correct it. So water rushes into your cells to rebalance, and they swell. Most cells tolerate some swelling. Your brain cannot, because it's sealed inside your skull. As brain cells swell with nowhere to expand, pressure builds, causing confusion, seizures, coma, and in Strange's case, death, within hours. This is the paradox sitting at the center of hydration. Not enough water, and your cells dry out, and your organs fail. Too much water, too fast, and your cells flood, and your brain swells. The amount that keeps you alive is a genuinely narrow window, and your body is constantly trying to manage it without you ever noticing the math happening in the background. So what does the science actually recommend? Despite the famous drink 8 glasses a day rule, there's no single magic number that applies to everyone. It depends on your body size, activity level, climate, and diet, since you also get a significant portion of your water from food. General health guidelines suggest somewhere around 2 to 3 liters a day for most adults, adjusted up for heat, exercise, or illness. And there's a simple, almost embarrassingly low-tech way to check your own hydration status. Look at the color of your urine. Pale, light yellow generally means you're well hydrated. Dark yellow or amber is your kidneys telling you, in the most direct language they have, to drink something. Now let's zoom all the way out, because there's a final twist to this story that most people never think about. Water feels infinite. You turn on a tap and it just appears, but the planet's actual supply of usable water is shockingly small. About 71% of Earth's surface is covered in water. We think we're drowning in stuff, but roughly 96.5% of all of it is saline ocean water, undrinkable without expensive desalination. That leaves only about 2.5% of all water on the planet as fresh water. And most of that isn't sitting in a lake waiting for you. 9% of all fresh water is locked away as ice glaciers and polar caps, and another roughly 30% sits underground in aquifers, often too deep to reach affordably. That leaves just over 1% of all fresh water as surface water. Lakes, rivers, swamp, soil moisture, the part realistic for humans to actually use. Rivers alone make up less than 0.5% of that sliver. Picture all the water on Earth poured into a single cup. The fresh, easily accessible portion would be smaller than one drop. That scarcity is why access to clean drinking water is one of the defining issues of the 21st century, and why, according to United Nations data, over 1 billion people still lack reliable access to safe drinking water today. So here is the full shape of the story. Inside your body, water is running 4 life support systems at once, cooling you, transporting nutrients, lubricating your joints, and flushing your waste with almost no backup
3 to
reserve.
5 days.
Lose too much of it. Within roughly 3 to 5 days, sometimes stretched to weeks, only in extraordinary cases like Andreas Mihavecz's, your organs begin shutting down, one by one. Gain too much of it too fast, as Jennifer Strange tragically discovered in 2007, and your brain can swell inside your own skull within hours. And zoom out far enough, and the substance keeping all 8 billion of us alive turns out to be one of the rarest, most fragile resources on the entire planet.
Of a sliver.
A sliver of a sliver of a sliver of everything Earth holds. The next time you fill a glass of water, without thinking twice about it, remember, you're not just quenching thirst, you're refilling the single resource standing between you and total system failure. One that 2/3 of your own body is made of, and that less than 1% of this planet can actually offer.